Hey everyone, Michelle Seidling here with another episode of Military Transition Wellness, the podcast dedicated exclusively to those transitioning from military service. Today we are talking about movement. And if you thought exiting the military was time to stop moving, well, think again. We have Dr. Tom Baldorf here to tell us otherwise and to tell us how you can keep moving and keep healthy in your transition and beyond. Welcome to the podcast, Tom. This podcast is available on multiple platforms, including YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and others. Please be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to be informed as new episodes become available. If you enjoyed today's episode or any of our episodes, please rate and review the podcast on your favorite platform. As always, check out our website at foodexperienceunplugged.com for some resources as you begin your health journey.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm excited to speak with you about this topic.
Oh, we are so happy to have you because all of us are moving, thankfully, and occasionally we get issues. We get chiropractic issues or other things. So, to begin with, will you take a moment to introduce yourself and what brought you to this point? Why chiropractic as an emphasis?
Yeah, Dr. Tom Baldorf. Our clinic is Active Life Integrated Health. I decided to go into chiropractic because I wanted to do something that was more rounded in regards to how we look at a patient. We're not just doing one particular thing. We'll do the chiropractic adjustment, getting movement into somebody's physical body, but then we do decompression. We do different modalities like laser. We'll get into nutrition. And because of my 30 years in healthcare, I've gotten established being integrated by having other healthcare practitioners that participate in our practice, from nurse practitioners to physical therapists, massage therapists, mental health therapists. So by looking at the whole body, we're able to really address individuals' needs versus, and I heard this a lot from patients that come and find us, that I just got one treatment and that's all I got and I didn't get any better. So our philosophy in our practice is that everybody's an individual and we have to meet them where they're at. We can't just say, this is what I'm going to do for you, whether or not that's really what you needed. And unfortunately, that happens a lot in healthcare, is that when you go to an orthopedist, he wants to cut. When you go to pain management, he wants to give you medications. There needs to be, and I've explained this to other people, there needs to be like a quarterback that says, okay, this is what you've got going on. Do you understand what's going on? And the majority of the time, the patients don't understand what's going on. Nobody's educated. Nobody's taking the time to say, this is your issue. These are the options that you have. And basically, and I tell this to patients too, I'm your trainer. I'm your coach. I'm here to help you move forward with your health goals. And that's not really how our healthcare system works right now. It's very, very siloed. You go to this specialist, this specialist, this specialist. You wait for this test. You wait for that test. And it just takes so long. So in our practice and in my background, I'm really trying to bring it all together so we can work as a team and come up with solutions a lot quicker than what patients are typically used to.
I love it. Just love that integrated, that holistic nature of the chiropractic practice.
Thank you.
Now, what sparked you to go into chiropractic?
Well, my mom always wanted to have her
Thanks,
neck work
Mom.
done. Yeah. She goes, you got great hands. You should be a chiropractor. And I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then I tell young folks this all the time. If you think you know what you want to do, go work in that or volunteer or do something to find out if that's what you like. And after 4 years of working with a veterinarian through high school, I realized I didn't want to see another cat and dog. So I didn't want to be a vet. And I didn't like the fact that the dogs and cats wouldn't tell you what was wrong. I wanted to get into healthcare, but I wanted the person to tell me what hurts, and I have to try to figure that out. Not Dr. Doolittle. And so I went to Fresno State in California and was getting into biochemistry. Thought I'd become a medical practitioner back in the mid 80s, late 80s. And a lot of doctors that I went and talked to said, don't get into medicine. And I'm like,
okay, coming from a doctor.
Yeah, they said that medicine was changing. It was becoming more corporate. And boy, were they right. Health insurances pretty much tell the doctor how to practice. And And so I knew a lot of chiropractors, and they really enjoyed their business. They enjoyed what they did with patients. Patients were happy. They would, and I'm like, I think that's what I'm going to do. Got into chiropractic school and said, is there more? And got into research, and worked with the college, and then got into integrated clinics to do the research projects. And that's how I got educated during my fellowship and my residency about what it would be like to work with other type of healthcare practitioners. So I was very fortunate that I had that experience and was able to work in those environments the first 10 years of my career, to learn what it meant to be one of the providers, not the provider, and to work as a team. So that's how I end up getting into chiropractic. But my clinic is unique. It's not your typical walk in, you get adjustment, and you leave. It's, what else do you need? What other treatments do you need? How can we get you to that next level? And that's what really is exciting for me, to be able to do that, and to help. I help other chiropractors learn how to do that as well. So,
Interesting. Very nice. Kind of train the trainer type of
exactly.
work.
I always tell my staff, if you really want to know what you're doing, teach somebody else.
Definitely very well said.
Yeah.
Oh, now on the note of movement and chiropractics and all of that,
Mhm.
how does that tie in with those transitioning from military service? Can you kind of give us a little 101
Yeah.
orientation here?
Yeah. Again, as you and I were previously talking, in the military, you don't stay sedentary. They don't give you an opportunity to rest. I know my son, for example, he was on a submarine, and it was boom, 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 always active. You're always on 24/7. Sometimes you don't really have that time to decompress. And I think once you get out of the military, you're used to that. So
Mm,
transitioning into, oh, I can sleep 8 hours, or I can sleep in, or I can take this weekend off and I can go for a bike ride, all of those things now a reality, but trying to get used to that. And unfortunately, I think depending upon how long you've stayed in the military, it's pretty rough on your body. And so you're going to be transitioning out, but then, okay, how do I deal with my neck pain? How do I deal with my low back? How do I deal with my knees? All those different things to be able to then stay active, because it's really easy to all of a sudden just stop everything. And then you don't stop how you eat, and you start
mm.
eating the same amount, but you're not burning the same amount of calories. So when I get to work with military folks, it's first, let's make sure you can stay moving.
Mhm.
Let's, if you have pain, let's deal with that pain. Let's get you out of the pain. Let's get you to where, yeah, you don't have to do that running like you did with a 75-pound backpack on you anymore in really uncomfortable boots. Now you can run in shorts and a nice pair of tennis shoes. But let's find something that works to allow you to continue that activity while we're getting rid of this pain, so that you don't stop movement. And then really the big thing is, what's your nutrition going to be like now that you're out of the military? You're, and I know for my son, he still made his own meals, he's got his own place and all that type of stuff. But if you're on a ship and you're in another country and you're in a location and you're eating those MREs, and you're just not getting an opportunity to eat on your own in some respects, talking to them about that, their nutrition, how can we make it simple and not complicated, so that you get good nutrition and you start watching your weight and it doesn't get out of control, because now all of a sudden you have access to everything that you didn't have access before. So
Mm,
it's pain and getting nutrition. And
mm,
then we really talk a lot about sleep. We know, of course, there's a lot of mental issues in regards to coming back, um,
sure.
and the environment and the change in the environment. So we have products that are nutritional products, what we call medical foods in our practice, that help people sleep. They were actually originally generated for the military,
Mm,
because
interesting.
you can go 2 3 days without sleep. It changes your brain chemistry. And
Mm,
so we put a lot of our guys and gals on these medical foods to get their brain chemistry levels high enough so they can get into the different levels of sleep. So
mm.
movement, reducing pain, better nutrition, and sleep is a good place to start while you're getting transitioned back. If you have those basic things managed, then dealing with the change can be a lot better.
Mm, okay. So kind of the one of the $1 million questions is how does all that relate to chiropractic?
Well, again, as I mentioned, not every chiropractor does that. If you're in Virginia or Washington or Oregon or another state, not Reno, Nevada, um, then you want to find a doctor or chiropractor that understands nutrition, understands exercise. So when you're calling up a chiropractor and say, "Hey, I'm just getting out of the military. I want to stay healthy. I've got some injuries and some pain that I experienced in the military, but I want to keep moving. I want some help with my nutrition, and I'm having difficulty sleeping." That's how you want to present it. You want to be able to have a conversation with your physical medicine doc, your physical doc, like chiropractic, saying, "These are the issues that I have," not just going in and say, "I want an adjustment."
Mm,
That only goes so far. There's so much more to it than, okay, you got me moving, but I'm still in pain. How do I manage that? I can't sleep, which is going to increase the pain. So you need to have that conversation. If you can't, find, if you're calling and that one chiropractor just does one thing and you need more, find another chiropractor. So, and we all have different experiences. We all have different techniques. We all have different philosophies on how we practice. But from my perspective, for military folks, you need a lot more treatment than just an adjustment. So you need to ask for it, and you need to find the chiros that understand that.
sure. Are there people or patients that come to you just saying, I need an adjustment, and then you see
Yes.
them again and again and again, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I have a saying, I want to see 250 patients a week, just not the same 250 patients a week. And so there is this mindset that when you go see a chiropractor, you got to see them for the rest of your life. 3 times a week for the rest of your life. That's not my philosophy. And I want patients to get to the point where they're able to manage their health themselves. And then I'm
Sure.
here when they need me. So getting you out of the pain, getting your joints to where they're functioning right, healing what's been damaged, then getting you physically active. Staying physically active is going to help you maintain the treatments that we give you within the practice. And of course, getting proper sleep and eating correctly. All of those things are going to help you not need to see me. Now, if you want to go out, I have patients in their 50s that'll go out and they'll mountain bike and they fall over off their bike. You want to do that, you're going to have to come and see me. And if in our name of our clinic is Active Life, I want you to be active, but watch what you're doing. you know and
Sure.
so um being able to help individuals meet their own personal goals and keep it going. Unfortunately, some practitioners will say, you can't do that anymore. You have to, stay away from this, stay away from that. You can't do this for the next 6 weeks to 6 months. I don't do that with people. I just say,
Mhm.
understand, you still want to do this. It's going to take us longer than if you did give it some time to rest. So again, I meet patients where they're at, and that's what you should be requiring of your doc, your chiropractors. I need you to help me, doc, get to my goals, not have your own agenda. And
Mm.
there are doctors out there that will have people, 4 or 5 people on a table, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's fine, and if that's what you want. But from my perspective, for the military folks, they need more than that. They need more than just an adjustment, and that's
Sure.
that's what they need to look for.
Absolutely. Now, what are some, if you're a traditional person going to a chiropractor, you're focused on the, hey, I need an adjustment, or
Mhm.
something of that nature. How does are there questions to consider, or how does that integrated relationship start with
Uh,
where they know, okay, oh, I need to be thinking about my sleep and my nutrition, etc.
right. Well, that's a really good question. Where does that start? Does it start with the practitioner, or does it start with the patient? And the reality of it is healthcare is a market of different providers, and it is really up to the customer to find what it is they need. It's unfortunate, but that's the case. You have to be an advocate for yourself. I think we're away from this concept of, I go to the doctor, they're going to give me all the answers. I don't think that's the case anymore. Physicians have become very specialized. And if you need something specific, yes. But for somebody to look at the big picture, that is not as common. And you have to look for that individual. So I think for people that are listening to the podcast, what they need to really do is write down what it is they want to accomplish. What is it they want for themselves? And I like the saying, what is it that you want? And then answer that question. Well, what is it I want? I want to be out of pain. I hurt all the time. So that's the question you ask yourself. What is it I want? And then you tell the person, this is what I want. And if they can't provide it, then you make another phone call. Can you do this for me? Do you have the capacity to do this? Or do you know somebody that can do this? And we need to really be demanding that of our healthcare system and not just accepting what it is, but actually saying, this is what I want and this is what I need help with. And we all need to start doing that, or else it's going to stay the way it is, where people are going to get in their 50s, 60s, and 70s and saying, I didn't know I was supposed to take care of myself. Because nobody else is going to care about you in your 60s and 70s and how your body feels but you. And I love that saying, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Right? So for the individuals listening, it really does come down to, what am I having problems with? And to be fair, sometimes we don't know. We don't know what our issues are. And that's why to find a holistic, integrated physician, and you can find those on the medical side too. There are naturopaths and acupuncturists and doctors that are doing what we call concierge type of treatment, so they can spend more time with you. I have friends in medical that they get 10, 15 minutes with you. That's it. And it's like, what is your issue right now? This, but I got out of all these. We'll make another appointment because I only have 15 minutes to deal with you. And that's difficult. And so you need to really start identifying all the different things that you want to address and start looking for those individuals. Even if it comes down to, okay, I've got rid of my pain, but now I don't know what to do for exercise. Get a trainer. And I know when I start talking like, you can go do all of these different things, it's not inexpensive. It starts costing money, but then you've got to evaluate what's better. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, right? So you've got to invest in yourself. You got to take care of yourself. You can't keep going to Carl's Jr.'s every day and McDonald's and all of that and expect that you're going to be healthy and your cholesterol levels are going to be okay. You have to do some things for yourself and not expect, and it really comes down to this, not expect somebody else to do it.
Sure, definitely. I'm thinking people normally think, okay, if I have a problem with my back, I got to go to a chiropractor. If I have a problem with my nutrition, I got to go find a nutritionist, and just kind of that individual mentality versus that integrated medicine.
Yeah, and it's becoming more popular. There are more and more doctors like myself that are looking to bring people together, so that the patient doesn't have to keep looking. And that's where I'd start, but depending upon where you're located, it might not exist. But it is changing, because all of us are starting to realize that we have to work as a team. And I've got orthopedists and pain management doctors that I refer to, and they refer back to me. We are definitely becoming a more communicative industry. We're no longer, when I started 30 years ago, where people wouldn't talk to you. And that is also changing. So that is the good part behind this, is that we're able to say, hey, doc, I need this patient to be seen. He's with the VA, so we need to refer out to a neurosurgeon, and we need to do injections. And I have a patient like that right now that I referred over, and he gets injections in his neck because his neck's so messed up from jumping out of perfectly good planes. I don't understand that. Yeah, so it can get a little complicated, but I think for the individual looking for an integrated is one of the words, but inclusive, a doctor that looks at all aspects of it is really important, particularly for this particular group of people because of what they've gone through and what they've put their bodies through.
Sure, absolutely. Now on that note, where do you start? Like, what questions should they be asking? What's kind of that process to really evaluate their needs and address those needs?
Okay. What is it that I want? And the majority of the people that we see initially is because I'm in pain. I hurt. And so my perspective in my practice is I take care of that first, because nobody wants to deal with exercising if they're in pain. So when that individual is looking and they're saying, I'm in pain, I need to be fixed. I've gone to a medical doctor and they wanted to give me medications and anti-inflammatories and all these things, but they don't really work, or they're making me feel bad. Going to a chiropractor is a good place to start for that. That can help you manage that pain. Again, that individual may or may not be able to help you with your nutrition, but most chiropractors can, because we're holistic. We believe that there's more to your health than just the adjustment. So for the individual that calls into the chiropractic office, says, well, this is my primary issue, this is where I need to start. And that's where you go. You're typically not going to go to a chiropractor saying, I need to lose weight.
Typically.
It isn't going to happen. Or I need to exercise. You need to show me exercises. What you need to do is, if you're in pain or you can't move, you're really, really stiff when you wake up in the morning, you can't turn your neck, all those different things. You can't pick up your kids, all those different type of activities of daily living is the biggest thing. You can't do those things when you go to look behind you when you're in your car and you can't look behind you. Those are problems that you need to have addressed. So pain, lack of movement, and lack of flexibility. One of the big things, and I haven't seen it a lot yet, but I know a lot of vets deal with this, is what's called peripheral neuropathy, where they can't feel their feet, they can't feel their hands. That's one of the things that we really deal with in our practice. So when you have those different type of numbness, pain, lack of motion, that lack of flexibility, that's where you start and have those conversations with your chiropractor. And then once you're in there, then if you want to discuss nutrition and I can't sleep, or in our practice, we actually do hormonal balancing. We help them with their labs and figuring out if they need help with their hormones for male and females. So depending again on the practice, there's all these different things that they can look into with that particular provider.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about, for a moment, let's talk about prevention. As far as, I mean, with the military, you've been through a lot, whether it's jumping out of an airplane, going on a road march, anything and everything. But is there a way, as they're preparing to exit the military and those, initial years, what can they do to ideally prevent some of these issues, or at least minimize them?
Right. And that's the good point, is minimize them. We can't always prevent. I think it would be wise for when you get out to maintain some of your similar habits. So if you were marching or jogging, or that had to be something that you did on a regular basis, continue it. Don't stop that. That's going to prevent you from doing a lot of other things. Now, you might need assistance on making sure you have the right shoes, right inserts, all those type of things. That's another good way of prevention. And maintaining your exercise level. Those are going to be extremely important to prevent you from backsliding into an inactive life. I think we have all experienced that. We get really motivated about something and we've done it really, really hard. And then all of a sudden we just burn out and we don't want to do it anymore. Sure. And I think for folks starting to transition out, as I watch my son and he's like going, I've got to do all these things and I want to do this, but I don't know how that's going to work. And there's a lot of uncertainty for him because he wants to go back to school again, and he's not going to be making the money he did and all these different things. So he's got to take it slow, and he can't get too, because I've watched him, when he has to deploy, he's like this, and everything's got to be packed just right and all this stuff. And I think the biggest thing, both physically, emotionally, and mentally, is don't try to change too much too fast. So maintain your exercise routine that you did before. I would recommend that you improve your nutrition. But your activities of your organizing and all of that stuff, Don't try to change too much to prevent an all of a sudden complete shift in behavior. And I think that slow transition is going to be a lot more helpful than trying to just cut it right off and try to start something new. Whenever I'm not certain about a situation, I take my time and I think about it and process through it and gradually move into a different type of thing. And I talked to that about exercise too. Don't stop what you're doing and all of a sudden start something totally different, because that's when you hurt yourself. That's when your body will really start having problems because it's not used to that. So transition slowly. The only thing I would recommend is if you're not sure what to do, go swimming. Swimming is one of the best forms of exercise that won't harm your body. Jogging, weightlifting, CrossFit, all of that stuff, road biking, mountain biking, that can damage you. And so you got to really watch yourself with all those exercises. You can get injured. I mean, that's what keeps me in practice.
Well, from a practice perspective, and then you've got the,
Just
hey,
keep it
I
going,
really
folks.
don't
Just
want
keep
to
it
see
going.
you.
Right. But when you do it, I will take care of you. So that would be my biggest recommendation is take your time. Don't try to change too much too fast, and maintain what you've done. And if you didn't do anything before and you had a sedentary life sitting behind a desk, then start doing something. Start doing something, because a lot of what we go through mentally and emotionally can really be handled well with a walk, with a bike ride, getting out into nature. I remember hearing one of your podcast folks talk about getting out to nature and breathing and getting out of your house, getting out of your work desk and all of that stuff, and being outside and just starting to live. Because now you've got nobody owns you anymore. You got a totally different life.
Sure, good point.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Tom, how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, our website is activelifereno.com and activelifeneuro.com. That's anybody that has issues with neuropathic pain. And they can definitely reach out to us on our website, activelifereno.com. Go to our info at activelifereno, and they can ask me questions, send me emails. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions they might have. Even if they're really having a hard time trying to find the right provider, I'll help them with that.
Okay, fantastic. We will include all those things in the show notes. Tom, it's been fantastic. Really good to get the holistic perspective and knowing that, an adjustment is nice, but not quite enough. So thank you so much for being here on the podcast today.
It's been my pleasure.